This federal RICO though on KK and Chris. Ooh, the federal RICO I'm about to drop on Chris and Kim is about to be crazy.
Kim Kardashian laying down the law no matter what was actually said or not over a blast from the past with her ex, Ray J.
Camera on, lights up, and let's not waste breath. Ray J just went full late-night conspiracy streamer, and the internet immediately exploded. One clip, one live rant, and suddenly every gossip timeline is doing math about law degrees they don't have. If you thought celebrity drama was tired, you've not been paying attention, because the man who made one of reality TV's first scandalous headlines just told the world he's working with federal authorities to bring a RICO case that he says is worse than Diddy. And that line alone is an invitation to the entire social industrial complex to start buzzing. Let me spell out the receipts, so we're not gaslighting this into some anonymous whisper. In a viral live stream, Ray J warned that he is cooperating with federal investigators and that a racketeer, influenced, and corrupt organization-style case is imminent against Kim Kardashian and Kris Jenner, comparing the alleged situation to high-profile racketeering dramas that have dominated headlines. The clip shows him talking big, telling viewers the feds are coming, that he's going to be on the news every day, and that he intends to say a lot of things. This is not subtle. Of course, when you have a throwaway phrase like, "I'm helping the feds," the next beat is the family's spokespeople and lawyers. According to later press, sources close to Kim say she's not losing sleep over it. Insiders tell reporters she thinks these are more theatrics than surviving evidence, and that the family's legal team has dismissed the idea of any ongoing RICO probe as baseless. That reaction is classic Kardashian playbook. Swift legal pushback, denial, and public indifference until the facts, or the lack of them, force a different posture. A quick legal note because people love to toss around statutes they have never read. RICO is a serious, heavy-duty statute, historically used for organized crime. But in modern practice, it's been applied to serial frauds, pattern of conduct cases, and complex conspiracies. Saying RICO on a live stream is not the same as presenting evidence that an investigator would use in court. Federal investigations do not get opened because a former partner goes on camera shouting. They open with predicate acts, corroborating documents, witness cooperation, and predicated probable cause. The showmanship buys headlines, not indictments.
I'm talking about, I'm on the news every day like, yeah. Meaning like I'm gonna say a lot of shit.
Got a little bounce, you know, you walk with
If anybody know Kim and cool with Kim, they need to tell her now. The rain is coming, the feds is coming.
Let's not pretend Ray J and the Kardashian-Jenner family are strangers. Their shared history is the scaffolding for why this clip lands so loudly. The relationship that birthed one of the earliest viral video leaks in pop culture is well documented. It's a messy lattice of allegations, insinuations, lawsuits, and a public narrative that's been replayed for nearly 2 decades. That history is the context that turns a live stream into a potential PR landmine, regardless of whether the claims are substantiated, because culture remembers what scandals created. But here's the pattern. When celebrities are accused or alleged to be under federal scrutiny, journalism and gossip intersect and amplify. Clips get clipped, snippets get threaded, and everyone who has a platform spins it into clicks. That amplification works as both a sword and a shield. For Ray J, going loud might be a strategy to make his voice central to the conversation. For the Kardashians, forceful denials aim to collapse the rumor vector before it metastasizes. That's media warfare in microseconds.
Does that person have that kind of personality that they would be capable of something like that they could pull off a fraud at a high level?
Only thing I can say is you can't put it past anybody.
And this particular dust-up matters beyond clicks because the cultural stakes are heavy. The Kardashian brand is not just gossip fodder. It's a conglomerate. It's product lines, legal teams, private equity buzz, and partnerships that are worth tens, sometimes hundreds, of millions. The image of a family that monetized its life runs on a fragile highway of trust and desirability. Once that erodes, it ripples across licensing deals, retail partnerships, and investors who value predictability. Reputation isn't just pride for them, it's balance sheet insurance. Now, let's talk tone. Ray J's delivery here is part grievance, part entertainer. He's done this before, shifting between anger, self-justification, and theatrical boasting. The internet loves a spectacle, and he's a showman. But showmanship doesn't equal a case. You can say your ticket is a first-class ride all day. It still doesn't mean you own the plane. And that's the legal and media reality. Bluster can trend, but it rarely builds an indictment without investigation scaffolding that we haven't seen. There's another vector people keep missing: motive. Why now? Why on a pacey live stream? The possible answers read like a press release for attention, recent projects under scrutiny, a desire to stay relevant in an attention economy that devours and forgets, or personal grievances that never healed. A man's personal vendetta in public can masquerade as whistleblowing when it suits the narrative, which is to say we should always ask who benefits from the claim being in the public sphere rather than in a sealed court file. And don't act like this is the first time Ray J has voiced suspicion about the Kardashian machinery. Over the years, he's alleged that the family was involved in transactions and decisions that painted them in a negative light, sometimes claiming manipulation and sometimes claiming self-preservation. Whether he's telling a new truth or recycling old grievances, the clip works because it resonates with a cultural memory of a widely shared scandal that launched an empire. That memory grants him microphones, but it doesn't grant legal credibility. Which brings us to the Kardashian counterpunch. When legal teams respond quickly and decisively, it's not just about denying an allegation, it's about controlling a media cycle. Lawyers like Alex Spiro, known for pushing back hard when clients are accused in public, have ways of silencing rumors with immediate pressure. And the family's legal posture here is textbook: deny, threaten, and wait. Threats of defamation suits and legal letters are not just theater, they're a structural move to deter further unsubstantiated claims. Let's be honest, the public is trained by years of celebrity melodrama to assume some version of true. We watch documentaries, read memos, and remember when off-the-record gossip turned into indictments for other celebrities. That historical memory, like Diddy's recent legal troubles and other high-profile criminal cases, primes people to take RICO talk seriously. But we also need to remember the difference between "this would be bad if true" and "this is actually happening." The former fuels clicks, the latter requires paperwork. As always, the PR battle will be waged on multiple fronts. There will be legal letters, streaming takedowns, and a flood of think pieces parsing motive and opportunity. The Kardashians will lean on allies in fashion, retail, and entertainment to keep business as usual, while critics will mine the family's past to thread a narrative. In that fight, facts matter least at first and most later. The immediate wins go to whoever can dominate headlines and shape public sentiment. And here's the insidious cultural part. These scandals do real damage beyond the celebrities themselves. They become shorthand for how we imagine accountability in America. If people believe that fame buys protection, that feeds narratives about inequality before the law, about the performative element of justice in the age of celebrity. Conversely, if unproven accusations become a weapon for attention, we degrade the idea of whistleblowing and make it noise rather than evidence-based oversight. Let's pivot to the human detail because spectacle can obscure reality. Kim Kardashian is a multi-hyphenate in 2025. Reality star, beauty mogul, former law student advocate, and founder of multi-million-dollar brands like SKIMS. Her life is not a single scandal loop. It's decades of pivoting brand narratives. The scope of that operation explains why any hint of legal jeopardy is immediately treated like a corporate crisis rather than a petty feud. Shareholders and partners are watching the headlines for good reason. Meanwhile, Ray J's public persona thrives on volatility. He's re-entered headlines multiple times in recent years with claims, jabs, and show-stopping declarations. That's how public relevance works now. Stay loud and the algorithms will help. The algorithms don't care about veracity. They care about engagement. So when an old headline resurfacer like Ray J shouts, "Feds" and "RICO," the machine amplifies, and we all watch the little dominoes fall. We also have to look at timing across the Kardashian universe. Kim has been busy with product drops, big appearances, and legal skirmishes that keep her in headlines. Other family members manage their own storylines. The Jenners and Kardashians juggle red carpets and boardrooms, and a rumor can force defensive moves that cost time and money. I want to address the audience watching this and the obligation of commentary. We can be clever and cynical and still insist on proof. Media criticism means parsing why something is viral and whether it should be treated as fact. In this case, the viral hook is emotion. Satisfyingly dramatic claims still need verification. If you're invested in headlines, watch for a few concrete signs: formal filings, subpoenas, sealed indictments, or statements from law enforcement. If none of those appear, and Ray J keeps the story alive by repeating it without producing documentation, the pattern looks less like whistleblowing and more like grievance recycling. Conversely, if subpoenas or filings do appear, then the media will have been premature in their skepticism and the narrative will change quickly. And now, a word about damage control and narrative craft. The Kardashian machine has long been a masterclass in controlling image. Leaks are curated, sympathies are cultivated, and controversies are turned into content or extinguished with lawyers. The family's ability to channel or blunt a story is what keeps huge commercial deals intact. That kind of media savvy isn't invincible, but it is resilient. When a former partner goes loud, the machine's response is rarely panic. It's choreography. Let's be clear about what a successful RICO case would look like. It would require documented patterns of illegal activity tied together into an enterprise with predicate acts and witnesses. The public's imagination of a Hollywood RICO case is often fed by movies and tabloids, but the legal reality is slow, granular, and evidentiary. If Ray J is actually cooperating with investigators at that threshold, then he's dealing with prosecutors, subpoenas, and sealed grand jury motions, not just social media clips.
It's basically a charge on an enterprise. It was started to go after the mob. So the legislature implemented the RICO to say, hey, it doesn't matter if you're the actual person doing the crime, if you're part of an enterprise.
Until that moment arrives, the cultural playbook will proceed. Content creators will monetize takes, late-night shows will joke, and think pieces will draw long arcs back to the family's origin story. We'll see eager clickbait that folds in anything from past lawsuits to tangential corporate disputes, just to weave a tapestry of suspicion. That's not just lazy journalism, it's an incentive problem in a digital attention market that rewards breadth over depth. So what does all this mean for celebrity image and our collective moral imagination? It means two things. First, celebrity is brittle when its value rests on curated authenticity. Second, we are dangerously comfortable converting rumor into moral judgment. The Kardashians, like other empires built on persona, are powerful because of the audience's trust. That trust can be weaponized, and so can accusations. How we adjudicate between those two powers will say a lot about how culture values both accountability and spectacle. Let's take a breath and remember the standards of evidence and the power of motivated narratives. Ray J's live stream is combustible because it draws on real history, but combustible fuel does not equal ignition. If you want to be an ethical consumer of celebrity news, ask for documentation, watch for follow-up from reputable outlets, and remember that lawyers move slower than viral clips. In that slowness, truth either solidifies or fades. Finally, this whole saga is an absurd reminder of how modern celebrity operates. Trauma, commerce, reinvention, grievance, and corporate calculus all folded into a feed. One man's shout into a camera can force a multinational brand to respond, and that is both a frightening concentration of power and a reminder of how fragile reputations are. For the Kardashians, this is both a reputational test and a reminder that the stakes of their empire are not just emotional, they are financial and legal. So where do we land? For now, with the public record as it stands, there is an allegation on camera and no public evidence from investigators that backs it up. There is a family legal team ready to push back and, if necessary, litigate. There is a former lover whose relationship to the story cannot be decoupled from a long, messy past. And there is a media ecosystem that will happily spin this into the next trending headache. Until hard documents arrive, the safe, boring verdict is skepticism. And because we do this for a living, to hold power and attention accountable, I'll say what the headlines can't. Allegations need to be tested, not amplified. If Ray J has documents, subpoenas, or sworn statements, bring them forward and let a court sort it out. If he doesn't, this is performative noise with real collateral consequences for reputations and businesses. Culture will feast either way, and our job is to demand the receipts before we pronounce judgment. One last thing, the Kardashians have built and rebuilt themselves through controversy before. They have weathered scandals, divorces, and lawsuits, and then pivoted into product launches and new chapters. That resilience doesn't make them immune to accountability, but it makes them adept at surviving rumors. Ray J's live stream might fade into the background if there are no legal follow-ups. Or it might be the herald of something darker. Only time, subpoenas, and paperwork will tell. More immediately, brands will be watching. When a headline threatens to attach the word investigation to a brand, retailers and collaborators call their lawyers, marketing teams run contingency scenarios, and private equity folks ask for reassurances. Skims, KKW Beauty, and other Kardashian businesses are famously format-friendly. They thrive on carefully timed drops, curated scarcity, and cultivated desire. But brands also live or die by consumer confidence. One viral allegation, even if hollow, can cost real dollars and strategic momentum. And then there's the investor angle. Private investors and public partners underwrite celebrity brands with a kind of faith that the celebrity's image is stable. When that stability is threatened by legal rhetoric, especially by a term with legal heft like RICO, money managers start to calculate worst-case scenarios. That scoreboard logic drives rapid legal responses. It's not paranoia. It's a structural reflex in a market that treats attention as both asset and liability. On a human level, this whole saga highlights how people who build empires on vulnerability must also square with the consequences of that exposure. The Kardashians monetized personal life. The pathway from personal to corporate created wealth and also created narrative leverage for anyone with a grudge. The ethical line between legitimate grievance and public performance is paper thin. When a past intimate partner makes claims about cooperation with federal authorities, we are forced to decide how to treat both claim and claimant. For cultural critics, the Diddy comparison is a sticky note worth unpacking. When Ray J says worse than him, he's invoking a shorthand for legal drama and public shaming. A shorthand that, in recent memory, led to trials, convictions, and public reckonings for other figures. But invoking a precedent doesn't create one. The bar for criminal enterprise remains high. Comparing two situations rhetorically is not the same as establishing an evidentiary chain. It's a sensational line intended to move attention, not to build a case. Let's not forget the performance of social media itself. Platforms reward escalation. The faster a clip travels, the more likely it is to be stripped from nuance and repackaged into hot takes. That's why responsible consumption matters. Pause before you forward. Let journalists confirm and let legal processes play out. It's harder to be measured in the heat of a trending storm, but that's where discernment matters most. Consumption with skepticism is not cynicism, it's civic hygiene. Finally, a quick note to anyone using this to settle old scores. The court of public opinion is inconsistent and cruel. It can ruin businesses and reputations overnight with unverified claims, and it can also ignore systemic wrongdoing when victims are marginalized. We should, therefore, demand both empathy and evidence. We should hold powerful people accountable while resisting the urge to convict based purely on spectacle. That balance is the only way forward in a culture that both adores and eats its icons. If you like this breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell icon, because we'll be watching the filings, the lawyers, and the follow-ups. Drop your hot takes below, but do us a favor. Mark your claims, opinion, and your evidence receipts. We'll reconvene when the record changes. Until then, keep your skepticism sharp and your receipts sharper. We'll track filings, motions, and press statements closely, provide updates, and unpack every legal twist as soon as credible documents surface for public review, right here